The Sun has published a previously unseen photograph of Peter Mandelson. It shows the former Blair advisor and disgraced former MP helping convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein to blow out the candle on his birthday cake. The photograph of the tete-a-tete in Epstein's £10 million Parisian mansion was apparently taken months after the sex predator was charged with procuring a minor for prostitution in 2006. Mandelson, recently rumoured to have advised Keir Starmer on his cabinet reshuffle, had a long-running relationship with Epstein. It was at the end of June 2008 that Epstein was sentenced to 18 months in jail. In a 2019 Channel 4 Dispatches programme titled The Prince and the Paedophile, an anonymous source close to Epstein revealed this.
Now, you visited Epstein when he was in jail. Can you describe what conditions he was kept under?
Well, firstly, it wasn't a jail. He was actually spending the night in his bed in the local police station. He was allowed out during the day to his office.
Epstein was free to continue to conduct business as usual, and our source says he witnessed an intriguing phone call.
While I was there, he received a call and said, "Hello, Petey." And he chatted away, and Petey wanted to meet Jamie Dimon, who was then the chairman of JP Morgan. And by the time he said, "Yes, I'll sort it out," put the phone down, and Petey turned out to be none other than the Secretary of the Board of Trade, Peter Mandelson. I was astonished that a British cabinet minister at that time, probably the most powerful man other than the Prime Minister, was calling Jeffrey in jail to make an appointment or to seek an appointment with a very powerful banker in New York.
In 2005, Peter Mandelson had been snapped casually shopping with Epstein in the US Virgin Islands.
But I think it demonstrated that as far as Jeffrey was concerned, life was carrying on as if nothing had happened.
And the phone call worked?
Yeah, no, it was sorted out.
Did you get a sense from him how well he knew Peter Mandelson?
Well, clearly you don't call Peter Mandelson Petey if you're not a close friend.
In a statement for this programme, lawyers for Lord Mandelson said,
"Our client has no recollection of a telephone conversation with Mr. Epstein in January 2009, in which he allegedly requested that Mr. Epstein set up a meeting with Jamie Dimon, chairman and CEO of JP Morgan. Our client would have no need whatsoever to make such a request. As business secretary, he met or talked on the phone to bank CEOs on a regular basis, including Mr. Dimon. These contacts were all arranged through his government office."
So you heard there, a denial of sorts from Mandelson's team, but that's not the only connection between Mandelson and Epstein, those pictures and that claim there. Epstein, you'll probably know, kept an infamous little black book of all his rich and powerful contacts and connections. In it, we find Peter Mandelson, you can see there, squared in red. We can also see in there Tony Blair was in the little black book, as well as Alistair Campbell. Now, we should be careful. It is quite possible that Peter Mandelson could have been singing happy birthday to Epstein while he faced charges of trying to sleep with a minor without knowing anything about those charges. And if Mandelson did ring Epstein in jail after his conviction on that charge, he might not even have known he was in jail, although I suppose if he used the internet, he probably should have been able to guess. And appearing in the sex offender's contact book obviously doesn't imply any knowledge of complicity in any crime. But it does show how connected this creepy predator was with many people in the highest echelons of British society and politics. And also, I've said, being in this situation doesn't imply knowledge, but to be frank, the dates we're looking at, you should have known. Ash, what do you make of that photo and that extraordinary clip from the Channel 4 documentary?
Like you said, there might be perfectly plausible reasons for Peter Mandelson either not knowing that Jeffrey Epstein had been charged or not knowing that he was making a phone call to Jeffrey Epstein while he was in jail. But either way, I think these are pretty serious questions to answer. Why was he maintaining a friendship with Jeffrey Epstein at all? What was the nature of that friendship? What went on? Were there any suspicions that there was anything untoward happening? And what could possibly explain the continuing of that relationship, either in a friendly or professional capacity, after the charges were brought? Now, we know that Jeffrey Epstein was treated in a particularly preferential way by the police at this time. He wasn't treated as a usual suspect of sex offences. So it is plausible that he was able to continue on with a degree of normalcy in his life, which meant that it could be effectively concealed from friends or business associates. But that is still a question for Peter Mandelson to answer. And I think that this is a problem which is much bigger than Peter Mandelson as an individual, which is when you look through the Epstein little black book, you've got heads of state, you've got celebrities, you've got high-ranking journalists, you've got lawyers, you've got political strategists. And the key question is, how and why was he able to inveigle himself with so many powerful people? There seems to be a really basic question which has consistently gone unanswered, which is, how did Jeffrey Epstein get so rich? How did he get so rich? Where did the money come from? Whose assets did he have access to? And did that play a role in his ability to cultivate relationships with extremely powerful people? None of the answers to that, I think, have been particularly satisfactory. And it's now something, with Epstein dead, that his associates are going to have to account for. Because I don't think that this man was simply uniquely charming. I don't think that it was the quality of his conversation that was attracting people into his orbit. I don't think that's why he was able to score himself invitations to royal weddings and have, immensely powerful people come stay with him on his private island. I think that there was something else untoward. And even if the knowledge of his sex crimes weren't, particularly prevalent, people just didn't know about it at that time, I think people perhaps had an idea that the source of his wealth wasn't entirely on the up and up.
The more basic thing to say about this, we don't need any speculation or any, extra knowledge, is that it is indicative of who the New Labour set hung out with, because even before, as I say, it's quite implausible to me that the dates we're talking about, someone would not have known at least some of the things that Epstein had been up to. But hanging out with morally questionable, very rich, very powerful people was just the name of the game when it came to New Labour's top dogs. Tony Blair going on holiday with Berlusconi, getting all expense paid trips to Sharm el-Sheikh from the Mubarak-controlled Egyptian government. That was while he was prime minister, by the way. These were people who were in love with power and money. And they were really up for being friends with anyone with power and money, it seems. Tony Blair, apparently the godparent of Rupert Murdoch's, one of Rupert Murdoch's children. So that whole New Labour set, I think it's really hard to argue they weren't completely corrupted by a lust, not just for money and power, but to be close to money and power. You can just see they just love to be moving in those circles. And those circles, lo and behold, often the people who move in them don't actually have a particularly admirable moral character, right? And to have people who are leaders of a supposedly left-wing party who are just constantly gallivanting around with people who have absolutely nothing to do whatsoever in their lives with solidarity, with public service. It's all just about self-aggrandizement, self-enrichment. You've got to ask, what is it that is attracting you to these people? And over again, you see it with Tony Blair, with Peter Mandelson, with that New Labour set, that they do not have moral qualms when it comes to who are you going to work for, who are you going to work with. Obviously, Tony Blair advising the Kazakh dictator, what we talked about on a previous show. And I just think this is indicative of that. So whatever Peter Mandelson did or did not know, that this relationship was so close, that they were blowing out those birthday candles on that cake. I just think it tells us so much about New Labour, and so much that we knew already, quite frankly, which is these people are not moral people. They're not moral people, and they don't really respect public service. What they respect is power, and they respect money, and they want to be part of it. And they were part of it, Congratulations, well done to them. But that's why, after they've left politics, people aren't being like, oh, we really appreciated when Tony Blair and Peter Mandelson were in charge. No, because we recognize that when they were in charge, what they just did is line their own pockets and use that position to increase their own influence, increase the power of their own social networks. And no, we're not going to thank you for that, which is why, even though Tony Blair was in power for a really long time, he's incredibly unpopular, as is Peter Mandelson, and rightly so.